A growing COVID-19 outbreak in China and harsh restrictions have prompted officials to postpone the Asian Games. Or the exact dates will be announced later, but should be held sometime next year. The Asian Games was to have hosted more than 11,000 athletes from 44 nations and territories, and is second in size only to the Summer Olympics. Host city Hangzhou had completed all 56 competition venues last month. The Olympic Council of Asia says the decision was taken after considering the COVID-19 pandemic and the size of the Games. Hangzhou ramped up virus curbs last week after logging just a handful of cases. Nearby Shanghai reported more than 4,000 infections. Officials say its worst outbreak has been brought under effective control. But most of Shanghai's 25 million residents are still under various forms of lockdown. Local officials say while community transmission has been effectively curbed, there is still a risk of a resurgence. Meanwhile, capital Beijing has announced another round of mass testing in some districts, including Chaoyang. Health officials say the risk of transmission in the city has been lowered to some extent, thanks to PCR testing and contact screening. But authorities warn the virus could still rebound. Beijing recorded 66 new infections today. And Olivia Xiong joins us live from Beijing. Olivia, what is the rationale behind postponing these Asian Games, and what sort of impact could this move have?
Well, the latest move clearly points to the concern here in China over the growing outbreak that we are seeing in the country. The Olympic Council of Asia said that the local organizers had been very well prepared to deliver the Asian Games on time, but considering the current pandemic situation and the size of the Games, the decision was made to postpone this major sporting event. And it's not the only major sporting event that's being affected. Today, we also heard that the World University Games that was to be held next month in Chengdu City has also been postponed to next year. And down the road, the Asian Youth Games that was to be held in Shantou in Guangdong province in December has been cancelled. And so we really see that this points to the concern over the current outbreak. And it was just about a month ago that we had seen Chinese President Xi Jinping lauding the success of the Winter Olympics that was held here in Beijing in February. He said that this had pointed to the success of China's COVID-19 policies and that it would have served as good experience for hosting future major international events. Now, the Asian Games were to have been held under a similar closed-loop system that Olympic organizers had put in place, meaning that participants were confined to a bubble and not allowed to interact with the wider community. Daily testing was also done, and we had seen a very small number of infections. But this latest move points to the anxiety and especially an important political year, given the upcoming party congress that's to take place likely in fall, when Chinese President Xi Jinping is expected to secure an unprecedented third term in power.
A little bit more on this theme of what seems to be mixed messages. China says the overall COVID-19 situation has stabilized, but where you are in Beijing, officials are tightening curbs further.
That's right. Officials are saying that overall the case numbers have been declining. If we were to look at the average number in the country as a whole, but they are also pointing to a risk of a rebound in cases, and they are also saying that the situation here still remains severe and complicated. Now, officials also continue to say that China needs to hold on to its dynamic zero-COVID policy, reiterating what President Xi had said yesterday at a Politburo Standing Committee, where he warned that any attempt or any words or actions that may doubt or deny China's policy need to be fought against. And today we also heard a health official saying that China's zero-COVID policy does not mean citywide lockdowns, but on the contrary, the policy's goal is to avoid such citywide lockdowns, even as there have been continued questions over this particular direction that China is heading towards, with unhappiness seen in Shanghai, with many still confined to their homes, and questions over what this means for China's economy. But this is what health officials had to say.
疫情防控形势依然严峻复杂，要毫不动摇坚持动态清零总方针，不麻痹、 不厌战、不侥幸、不松劲儿，加快局部聚集性疫情处置，坚决做到应检尽检、应格尽格、应收尽收、应治尽治。
And so from what we have heard, it seems that China is not going to be changing course anytime soon here in Beijing. More rounds of mass testing set to begin tomorrow as officials say that this is likely to become a normalized way of life here for the people here in the capital.
Thanks to Olivia Chiong reporting us just there from Beijing.